All right, last section of chapter 3. I'm on the top of page 38. You're out on your own, Violet pointed out, irritated. Myrtle looked a lot younger than Violet. But I know my way around, said Myrtle, and I'm city-born. I grew up in Washington, D.C. Grew up, Violet thought, was an exaggeration. The girl couldn't be older than 8. What are you doing in New York, then? I was sent here to attend the Girls' Training Institute. Myrtle said the last 3 words in a high nasal sing-song that communicated quite clearly that she loathed the place. We cross here. Stop! Myrtle grabbed the square collar of Violet's blouse just as a steam-powered automobile zoomed down the street. What are they training you for? Violet asked. Nothing, said Myrtle with a shrug, sidestepping a mound of horse manure. I try not to spend too much time there, to tell you the truth. Well, but is it a school? Said Violet, getting irritated again, or what? It's supposed to be a school, Myrtle shrugged again. It trains colored girls to be maids. They sent me here because the training institutes in D.C. won't take girls my age. I'm 10, and they said you have to be 12. Who sent you? Said Violet, thinking that Myrtle barely looked 8, let alone 10. But she'd heard all her life that colored people were different, so maybe they grew differently. Your parents? My parents are dead, said Myrtle. The ladies at church sent me. Oh. It was getting dark. They turned into a narrow street with wagons parked all along both sides of it. Some were unhitched. The dark shapes of horses fidgeted and stamped between the shafts of others. Buildings loomed overhead, and most of the streetlights were broken. Violet suddenly felt cold, even though it was an August night. This whole street seemed foreign and dangerous and smelled overwhelmingly of horseradish. To distract herself, Violet said, Don't you want to be a maid, then? Would you? Said Myrtle. Of course not, said Violet. She had an odd feeling that Myrtle's situation was a little like her own, except that Violet had marriage looming in front of her, and Myrtle had being a maid. But they were both caged in by other people's plans for them, with no hope of escape, except that Violet was escaping. I'm sorry about your parents, Violet added belatedly. She thought about what it must be like to have both your parents dead. Father rarely spoke to her, and Mother was mostly in the business of handing out rules. They were never warm or friendly like parents she'd read about in books. Still, not having them would make the world a very strange place, like a house without a roof. Thank you, said Myrtle with dignity. A sharp pickles and onions smell cut through the horseradish and manure, and Violet realized how hungry she was. She looked around for the source. There, Violet saw a push cart on 2 huge wooden wagon wheels topped by a big canvas umbrella. A kerosene lantern hanging from the umbrella pole shed just enough light for Violet to make out the words painted on the side. Hot Dogs Lemonade. The warm light from the lantern made the street seem less scary. Let's get a hot dog, Myrtle, Violet said. I don't have any money, Myrtle said. That's okay, I do. Violet turned to the hot dog seller, a man in a long white apron and plaid cloth cap. 2 how much are they, please? 5 cents each, the man said. He had a foreign accent. 5 cents for lemonade. You gotta drink it here, though, 'cause I only got the 1 glass. Violet looked at the smudged glass which held out for her inspection, and at the open bucket of lemonade hanging on the side of the cart. She was thirsty, but— 2 hot dogs, please, she said. The man took a sharp iron knife and slit 2 buns, then delicately plucked 2 red, spicy-smelling sausages out of the cart with his fingers. He slathered them with mustard and ketchup and forked sauerkraut and fried onions on top of them. There you go, miss. Don't drop 'em. Violet had always been taught that only the very lowliest of the wrong sort of people ate on the street, and Myrtle had apparently been taught the same thing. They walked for a minute in silence, breathing the delicious smell of onions. Violet's stomach growled. In here, Myrtle said. They stepped into a narrow alley crisscrossed with clotheslines overhead, and gobbled the hot dogs out of public view. Violet thought nothing had ever tasted better. As I leave this chapter with you, I want you to think about that conversation we had in our groups this week about inequality. What were examples of inequality in this chapter? That one group or one type of person was treated differently than another. how could you think about that for chapter 3? All right, bye.